Do you believe you can challenge me? Bradley growled, tightening his fists until his knuckles popped. You think your quiet approach will succeed here at Lincoln High? Emma slowly lifted her gaze, and an icy sparkle in her eyes caused the crowd to gasp. The sharp glare she gave was nothing like fear. I am not playing, Bradley. Her tone was unexpectedly composed. I just hoped you would not force me to reveal who I truly am. And who exactly are you? He sneered, unaware that in mere minutes he would be on the floor, becoming the center of a school-wide conversation. The most thrilling part is yet to come. Stay tuned to discover how everything unfolded. Meanwhile, make sure to like and subscribe, so you do not miss out. The story began on a Monday morning at Lincoln High School located in the small town of Maplewood in Ohio. The fog still lingered as 16-year-old Emma Harris entered the building. Her family had recently relocated from Detroit since her mother secured a position at a nearby hospital. For Emma, this marked her fourth move within 3 years. Nothing about her appearance was unusual. She was of average height, slender with brown hair tied back in a plain ponytail, dressed in simple jeans and an unremarkable sweatshirt. She aimed to stay unnoticed and spoke softly when addressed by teachers. Yet what nobody realized would soon astonish the entire school, Emma was the defending Michigan Junior mixed martial arts champion for 4 consecutive years. After rigorous training at one of Detroit's premier gyms, she had become a formidable adversary, even against grown fighters. Her distinctive left hook was capable of fracturing a rib, and her mastery of ground combat brought pride to her trainers. However, at her mother's strong urging, they decided to keep her skills hidden after moving. Let's begin anew, sweetheart, her mother implored. You understand how others react when they discover what you can do. We need to be an ordinary family now. Emma consented, though a part of her rebelled. In Detroit, she earned respect because she never allowed insults to touch her, but here in Maplewood, she was just another unfamiliar face. Trouble started on her very first lunch break, where Emma sat alone in a corner of the cafeteria. Suddenly, a tall, broad-shouldered youth with a cropped haircut and a cocky expression walked over. Behind him were 2 companions. One was short and skinny, always squinting, the other taller with a cunning grin. Hey there, new girl, the leader announced as he slammed down on the chair facing her. I am Bradley Thompson. This is my school, my rules, and those are my buddies, Kyle and Jack. Emma glanced up briefly from her sandwich. Pleasure to meet you, she said simply. I am Emma. Emma? Bradley sneered, rolling the name around. So, where are you from? Detroit? Detroit, Kyle chuckled. Ah, from the big city, huh? Think you're better than us? Emma replied softly without looking up. No, but it seems like you believe you are. Bradley leaned in, smirking, ready to respond. This is a straightforward system here. Newcomers must show respect, especially those arriving from large cities who believe they are superior to everyone else. Emma felt a tightness inside her. That tone, that boldness. It all felt terribly familiar, but she had promised her mother. I do not want to trouble anyone. She stood up, and Jack asked, Where are you going? He grabbed her shoulder to hold her. Back. This conversation is not finished yet. What exactly do you want? Emma's voice acquired a firm tone, though the boys remained indifferent. Just respect, Bradley grinned. Let's say $5 a day for protection. You know anything can happen to a girl on her own in a new school? Emma slowly surveyed their faces. Bradley's eyes held confidence, like a hunter aware his target cannot resist. Kyle was grinning, anticipating amusement, while Jack was merely waiting for her to give in. I need time to consider, she finally replied. Sure, Bradley said magnanimously. You have until tomorrow. Then he leaned in, his breath warm on her face. Do not even think about complaining. The teachers here adore us, and my father sponsors the school's football team. After they left, Emma remained seated for several minutes, her fists clenched beneath the table. She could end this immediately. Just one well-placed strike would send Bradley to the infirmary for the day. Yet her promise to her mother restrained her. After school, she walked home lost in thought about the situation and the $5 a day demand. The daily cost was $150 each month, and over the entire school year, this would accumulate to more than $1,000. And that was only the beginning. Emma was aware of people like Bradley. If she gave in now, The situation would only deteriorate. At home, her mother was already preparing dinner. Sarah Harris appeared tired after her first day at work, but she still smiled at her daughter and asked how school was going. Fine, Emma answered, though it was a lie. The typical first day, she thought. Have you made any friends? Her mother inquired, but it was too soon to say. Sarah observed Emma carefully. Over time, they had learned to communicate without words, and now Sarah sensed something was amiss. Emma hesitated, then said, If there is a problem, it is okay, Mom. That night, Emma could not fall asleep. She lay awake, eyes fixed on the ceiling, thinking about Bradley. His confident grin, his arrogant stare, the way he spoke, the tone that was so familiar in Detroit. Back there, Emma would have handled this situation already. Everyone knew not to cross her. Yet here, she was just the new girl, quiet and avoiding any unwanted attention. On Tuesday morning, things got worse. As Emma entered the school building, Bradley and his friends blocked her at the stairs. Have you made a decision? He asked abruptly. I am not paying you, Emma replied firmly. The smile vanished from Bradley's face. What did you say? He demanded. No, she repeated. They locked eyes for several seconds, then Bradley let out a cold, unpleasant laugh. You know what, babe? I was hoping you would be reasonable. But when asked if he wanted to take on the heroine's role, he shrugged and said, All right, let's do it. What unfolded afterward turned into a nightmare for Emma. It seemed that Bradley and his group had teamed up against her during every recess. They found every opportunity to make her life miserable. During their first chemistry class, Kyle accidentally shoved her, causing all her notes to scatter on the floor. As she bent down to gather them, he stepped on her notebook with his dirty shoe and smirked. Oops, sorry. The trouble continued during their second recess when Jack pushed her forcefully in the hallway, causing her shoulder to slam into the wall. The pain was sharp, but Emma clenched her teeth and said, Watch where you're going, as he walked by. The tension hit its highest point in the cafeteria at lunch. Emma sat at the same table as before when Bradley came over again, this time accompanied by half the football team. He shouted loud enough for everyone to hear. Did you hear? We have a new girl who refuses to follow our traditions. She thinks she's above our rules. Conversations around immediately stopped, and all eyes shifted towards them. Emma whispered, Bradley, please. He leaned in close and said, You need to understand your place. When someone ignores my requests, it makes me look bad. He grabbed her plate and deliberately dumped the food over her lap. Hot soup splattered onto her jeans while bits of vegetables fell to the floor. Ouch! Emma exclaimed. Bradley acted offended and taunted. How embarrassing. The cafeteria was filled with tension as everyone watched the scene unfold. Laughter erupted around her. Someone even began recording with a phone. Emma remained still, feeling the warm soup soaking through her clothes. Anger was rising within her, cold and controlled, yet no less dangerous. Why are you just sitting there? Bradley continued to taunt. Clean up after yourself? Slowly, Emma stood, soup dripping down her jeans, leaving wet stains on the floor. The laughter persisted all around, but she did not care. Her gaze fixed solely on Bradley. You made a huge mistake, she said softly, but her tone pierced through the noise sharply. What are you going to do? He laughed. Will you tell the principal? Call your mommy? Emma said nothing. Without a word, she picked up her backpack and exited the cafeteria, leaving behind pools of soup and the echoes of laughter. In the restroom, she tried to wash away the stains, but it did no good. Her hands trembled, not from fear, but from barely contained fury. 4 years of training had taught her to manage her aggression, to channel it properly, yet now maintaining that control was challenging. She pulled out her phone and dialed the number of her former coach in Detroit, Master Johnson. This is Emma Harris, she began. Emma, how are things at the new school? He asked. Not too well, she admitted. I'm having trouble with the local bullies. Silence fell over the line. Master Johnson had known Emma since she was a skinny 12-year-old girl who came to the gym seeking to learn how to protect herself after being attacked by older kids. What exactly is happening? He inquired. Emma briefly summarized the situation, and when she finished, the coach exhaled deeply, saying, Listen closely, girl. I understand your mother told you to keep your abilities hidden, and that is wise. But sometimes secrets become dangerous. What do you mean? If you keep putting up with them, they will only get more cruel. Only strength stops people like this, Bradley, but remember, if you choose to act, do it wisely, not at school, not in front of witnesses, and avoid causing serious injury. I know you learned well, Emma, and no matter what occurs, you must defend yourself. It is your right. Emma spent the remainder of the day lost in thought. By the end of class, she had reached a conclusion. She could no longer endure the situation. After school, she remained in the library, pretending to study, but in truth, she was waiting for almost all students to leave. She needed to speak with Bradley privately. Around 4:00 p.m., she exited the building. The parking lot was nearly empty except for a few cars belonging to teachers and senior students. She knew Bradley usually stayed late after school for soccer practice. Emma headed to the athletics building and glanced through the gym window. Practice was finished and the players were heading toward their locker rooms. She waited another 30 minutes until she saw Bradley exiting alone. His friends had apparently already left. "Bradley," she called out. He turned around and smiled when he saw her. "Oh, look who is here. The soup bowl returns for more." Emma stepped closer. They were entirely alone. "In the empty parking lot, I need to have a word with you about what." Bradley crossed his arms firmly over his chest. Even by himself, he exuded confidence. After all, what could a slim girl do to him? "About what happened in the cafeteria today. What is wrong with him? I thought it was quite amusing for you, perhaps, but not for me." Bradley took a step forward, standing at 6 feet tall, looming over Emma by nearly a whole head. "Listen here, kiddo. I tried to be fair with you. Offered you an easy way out, pay up and move on with your life. But you chose to play the hero. Now, we are going to settle this the difficult way. Tomorrow, everyone at school will discover that the new girl from Detroit is a total loser. I plan to tell everyone about you sitting helplessly in a puddle of your own soup, unable to do a thing. I will post a photo on social media. I think Turnbull will get a kick out of it." Something shifted in Emma's eyes. Bradley noticed it, but misunderstood. "Oh, you're afraid?" "Too late, baby. You should have thought about that earlier." "You know, Bradley," Emma said with an oddly calm tone, "I have an offer." "What offer?" "You're not in a position to suggest anything right now. 1-on-1, here and now. If you win, I will pay you $10 a day instead of 5 and obey whatever you command." Bradley arched his eyebrows, clearly surprised. "If I win, you leave me alone forever and apologize to the whole school for today's incident." Bursting into laughter, Bradley exclaimed, "Are you serious? You want to fight me?" "I want to settle this once and for all," she replied. "I've been playing football since I was 10, coached by a former NFL player, and I bench pressed 300 pounds. Bradley shot her a scornful glance and said, "You look like the wind could blow you away." She calmly responded, "Then you have nothing to fear." There was something in her voice that caught Bradley's attention. Emma stood completely still, her arms relaxed at her sides, yet her stance radiated a confidence he had never noticed before. "All right," he finally said, "but no rules. Anything goes. Deal?" They walked toward the center of the empty parking lot. The asphalt was spotless, and there were no cars around, making it an ideal spot for a fight. Bradley removed his hoodie, revealing a muscular physique sculpted by years of intense gym training. Broad shoulders, a well-defined chest, and powerful arms made him look formidable. Emma shrugged off her jacket, leaving on a simple t-shirt. Standing next to Bradley, she appeared more delicate. "Last chance to rethink this," he offered with a smirk. "No thanks. Your funeral?" she replied confidently. Without hesitation, Bradley charged forward, aiming to bring Emma down with a single powerful punch. His fist shot toward her face with enough force to break a nose. What happened next utterly shattered his perception of the situation. Emma did not move to avoid the blow. Instead, she took a small step to the left, causing his punch to miss his target by inches. Raising her right hand to block the attack with her forearm, the motion was so swift and accurate that Brad had no chance to realize what was unfolding. Then Emma countered, her left hand shooting forward like a piston, aiming directly at his solar plexus. The strike was brief yet incredibly forceful. Years of training, countless hours of perfecting technique, all of her concealed power focused into that single movement. Emma's fist crashed into Brad's chest, causing him to double over, gasping for air. His diaphragm cramped and his lungs refused to respond. He attempted to breathe but failed. Panic took hold, forcing him to his knees. "What? How?" he croaked, still unable to grasp what had just happened. Emma stood calmly above him, showing no signs of exhaustion in her actions. "The first rule of fighting," she said softly. "Never underestimate your opponent." Brad tried to stand, but his legs would not support him. The strike to his solar plexus had been precise like surgery, strong enough to paralyze but not to seriously harm. You do boxing?" he wheezed. "Not boxing," Emma replied, crouching beside him so their faces were on the same level. "Mixed martial arts, 4 years of intense training, Michigan State junior champion. 23 fights, 21 wins." Brad's eyes widened in shock and disbelief. "But you know what's interesting," Emma added. "I didn't even use 1/10 of my strength with that punch at full power. The blow would have pierced through your ribs and into your spine." She stood up and took a few steps back. "I moved here hoping to begin a normal life. I was exhausted from everyone fearing me. My mother asked me to conceal my abilities, and I agreed because I wanted to be an ordinary girl." Bradley finally managed to breathe easily and slowly got to his feet. He clutched his stomach and looked at Emma with completely different eyes. "Yet you never gave me that opportunity." Emma's tone turned colder. "You assumed I was an easy target, but you were mistaken." "Listen, I had no idea," Bradley started. "Naturally, I did not, and now you must decide." Emma stepped closer to him. Despite being taller, Bradley now felt small and helpless. "Either you keep our deal, leave me alone, and apologize to the school. Or," she shrugged, "tomorrow I will demonstrate what I am truly capable of in front of witnesses and video evidence. What do you think your teammates on the football squad will say when they discover their captain was knocked out in 30 seconds by a girl half a head shorter?" Bradley realized there was no way out. His reputation, his standing at school, everything important to him was hanging by a thread. "Fine," he said hoarsely. "All right, I'll do it." "Smart boy," Emma said as she grabbed her jacket and made her way to the parking lot exit. "Also, Bradley," she turned back, "if you or your friends ever treat me or any other student here badly, I will know about it, and the next conversation will be very different." She walked away, leaving Bradley alone in the deserted parking lot. The boy. He stood there clutching his stomach, unable to grasp what had unfolded just 30 minutes ago. He had been the ruler of the school, and now, the next morning, the entire school was in disbelief. Bradley Thompson, once feared by the younger students and respected without question by the older ones, approached Emma directly in the hallway, right in front of everyone, and apologized loudly for the incident in the cafeteria the day before. "I am sorry, Emma," he said with no trace of sarcasm. "What I did yesterday was wrong. I acted like a complete fool." The students watched with open mouths. None could believe what was taking place. Bradley Thompson was apologizing to the new girl. "Thank you, Bradley," Emma replied calmly, accepting his apology. From that moment, the atmosphere at school shifted dramatically. Bradley and his friends not only ceased bothering Emma, but they also seemed to become her unseen protectors. When one of the younger pupils attempted to intimidate another, a single glance from Bradley was enough to make the bully back down. The most surprising event occurred a week later when a group of girls led by Jessica Martin, one of the most popular students, came up to Emma. Jessica began with hesitation. "We heard, or rather there are rumors, that you really know how to fight. Why do you ask?" "The thing is, some boys from another school keep bothering us after school, and the teachers cannot do anything about it. The incident did not occur on school property, and we could not inform our parents because they would forbid us from going out." Emma examined the girls closely. Their eyes reflected terror and hopelessness. "Tell me everything," she urged. It turned out that a group of senior boys from the nearby West Side School frequently harassed the Lincoln High girls around the bus stop. While they did not physically harm anyone, their intimidation was becoming increasingly bold. Just yesterday, one of them attempted to grab Jessica's hand, and after she pulled away, he threatened, "You will not escape next time." "How many of them are there?" Emma inquired. 5, All strong lads around 17 or 18 years old. And you? There are 4 of us, and we usually walk together, came the reply. Emma considered the odds. 5 against 1 was not very encouraging, even for her. But the girls needed assistance, and the teachers and parents could not do much. All right, she said at last. You all go as usual after school today. I will be there. What do you plan to do? We will see, came the uncertain answer. At 3:45, Emma took her place at the bus stop, sitting on a bench pretending to read, but really watching everything attentively. Jessica and her friends appeared minutes later, standing a short distance away, exchanging anxious looks. As expected, the West Side boys arrived promptly. 5 vigorous teenagers in casual sportswear, brimming with arrogance and rude behavior. Their leader, a tall blonde with a tattoo decorating his neck, strode straight toward the girls. Oh, look who has arrived, he shouted loudly. Our favorite princesses from Lincoln. Leave us alone, Travis, Jessica tried to stay cautious. Are we blocking the way? We're just chatting, Travis replied with a smirk. The speed you ran off yesterday didn't give us a chance to get acquainted properly. He reached out, clearly aiming to touch Jessica's cheek. She recoiled, but one of his friends appeared behind her, preventing her escape. Do not fear, beautiful. I do not bite. Emma stepped in at that moment. Excuse me, she said, moving closer. Would you mind stepping aside? The bus will arrive soon and you are obstructing the path. Travis spun around and shot her a contemptuous glare. Who are you? I go to Lincoln and these girls are my mates. He laughed. Well, move aside while I talk with my friends. I'm afraid that will not work because they do not want to speak to you. Travis advanced toward Emma, towering nearly 6 feet tall. She looked tiny beside him. Listen here, little brat. Mind your own affairs or you will suffer. What exactly will I suffer? Emma asked calmly. The other boys burst into laughter, clearly amused by the fragile girl's lack of fear toward their leader. You know what? Travis said, turning back to his group. I like that girl. She has spirit. Maybe we should take her along. One of the guys, a stocky brunette with golden teeth, stepped up behind Emma. Good idea, Trev. It has been a while since we had a pig. He reached to grab Emma's shoulders, which was his mistake. Emma did not even look around. She swiftly jerked her left elbow back, targeting her attacker's solar plexus. The strike was brief, yet forceful. The man bent over, gasping for air, collapsing onto his knees. What the? Travis started to say, but was quickly silenced when Emma faced him. There was something in her eyes that made him stop speaking. A predator's gaze, cold, focused, and utterly fearless. You have 2 minutes to leave this place, she said quietly. I will not warn you again. Travis could not believe what was unfolding before him. A girl over 6 feet tall was threatening him and his group. Have you lost your mind? He snapped. I could take you down with one hand. Before he could finish, Emma moved so rapidly that he couldn't even react. One moment she stood 2 meters away. The next, her fist crashed into his liver with such force that Travis's insides clenched painfully. He gasped for breath, doubled over, and was instantly struck by a second blow, a knee to his face. His nose's cartilage cracked, blood started streaming from his nostrils. Travis collapsed on his back, struggling to stay conscious. The whole assault lasted less than 3 seconds. The other 3 men watched in disbelief. Their leader, whom they had believed invincible, now lay on the pavement surrounded by his own blood. Who's next? Emma asked, turning towards them. No one moved. They had witnessed what had happened to Travis and understood that Emma meant business. Smart choice. Emma then nodded. Now take your boyfriend and leave. And if any of you girls from our school cross my path again, this conversation will be entirely different, the boys murmured as they lifted Travis and quickly left. The first boy she had struck remained on his knees, clutching his stomach. You too, Emma, she said firmly. Just go away. Once the bullies disappeared from view, Jessica and her friends came toward Emma, their faces glowing with admiration and gratitude. That was amazing, Jessica whispered. How do you manage to do that? Emma smiled and said it was a long story. The important thing was that now they would not trouble them anymore. What if they return? Asked Jessica. They will not come back, Emma reassured her. Bullies like Travis only comprehend strength. Today he learned a lesson he will not forget anytime soon. The bus arrived at the stop. and the girls stepped on, still buzzing about what had just happened. Emma remained behind to wait for the next bus. When she reached home, her mother was already preparing dinner. "How is school going?" Sarah Harris asked as usual. "Better," Emma replied. "Much better." Her mother studied her carefully. Something had shifted within her over these last few days. Emma had grown more self-assured and composed. The nervousness that had marked her since the first day at the new school had vanished. "Have you made any friends in your class?" Sarah inquired. "Yes, actually, there are some really kind kids here." Her mother smiled warmly. Emma went upstairs to her room and sat at her desk, opening her textbook, though her mind was far from her homework. Today had turned her experience at the new school upside down. Good, she no longer needed to conceal herself, to act weak or helpless. At last, she could just be herself. The following morning at school, everyone was aware of the event at the bus stop. The story expanded with every telling, yet the main point stayed consistent. The new girl from Detroit had defeated 5 seniors from Westside. Students from various classes came up to Emma, some simply curious to meet her, others seeking guidance on how to defend themselves. Several girls asked if she could teach them a few lessons in self-defense. Emma agreed gladly, believing it would be beneficial. She arranged with the school wrestling coach to use the gym after classes. Within a week, she gathered a group of 20 people, mostly girls but some boys too. Emma showed them fundamental self-defense moves, how to position their hands, where to target when attacking, and ways to break free from holds. She emphasized that strength is not the key in a fight. Technique and controlling the situation matter most. "Remember," she told her students, "the best fight is the one you never get into, but if that cannot be avoided, strike first, strike hard, and end it quickly." These sessions gained popularity not only among students but teachers as well. The principal, Mr. Anderson, even proposed to make self-defense a formal part of the physical education curriculum. Calling Emma to his office, he said, "What you're doing is crucial because children these days must know how to protect themselves. Thank you, Mr. Anderson, for your help. I spoke with your mother, and she mentioned your accomplishments in Detroit." "Why did you keep your talents hidden?" Emma pondered the question carefully. "I believed it would be simpler if I just lived an ordinary life. How do you feel about that now? I've come to understand that concealing your true self is not truly living, but merely existing. Life truly begins when you stop being afraid to show who you really are." The principal smiled, impressed by such insightful thoughts coming from a 16-year-old girl. I had to mature quickly. About a month after the encounter with the Westside boys, something else happened that solidified Emma's standing at school. Representatives from a well-known mixed martial arts organization visited town to organize a showcase and identify promising young fighters. The event took place at a nearby sports facility, attracting many students from Lincoln High who came to watch. Emma had not intended to take part. She had arrived just to observe with Jessica and a few other friends. However, when the hosts announced that the ring was open to anyone eager to fight, the crowd of students began chanting Emma's name repeatedly. One of the Federation's representatives, a former professional fighter called Mike Rothner, noticed the excitement. "What's the situation here?" he inquired. The staff explained that the students wanted one of their peers to enter the ring, claiming she was a state champion. "How old is she?" Rothner asked. 16, they replied. Rothner hesitated and expressed concern about her age, saying she was too young for a serious match. Nevertheless, he offered to organize a friendly sparring demonstration with one of their female fighters. Then, he moved towards A crowd of students gathered as Jessica pushed Emma forward. "There she is," Harris said, giving Emma a scrutinizing glance. The petite, slender girl dressed in jeans and a simple t-shirt hardly resembled a fighter at all. "Are you truly a state champion?" Harris asked. "I was in Michigan." "What weight?" 125 pounds. "All right, we have a girl close to your weight. Would you like to do a light sparring session? No punches to the head, and protective gear is mandatory." Emma glanced at her classmates whose eyes were glowing with excitement and hope. They believed in her, and she was determined not to let them down. A few minutes later, Emma stood in the center of the ring, outfitted with a protective helmet and gloves. Her opponent was Kelly Rose, age 20, an emerging professional fighter with 4 amateur bouts behind her. "Don't worry, kid," Kelly said during the warm-up. "This is just an exhibition sparring match." Emma simply nodded. The scent of sweat and leather, the glaring lights, the roar of the crowd, all of it brought her back to moments from her childhood. When the referee signaled the start, Kelly began cautiously, observing her. She threw a few gentle jabs to test Emma's reactions. Emma remained composed, dodging or blocking the strikes without rushing to counterattack. Not bad defense, Kelly thought as she decided to increase the pressure. She launched a 3-strike combination, left jab, right cross, then a kick aimed at the body. The form was flawless, the speed impressive, yet Emma was prepared. She evaded the first 2 punches and managed to catch Kelly's leg in a hold. During the match, Kelly lost her footing after attempting a sweep and fell onto her back. Emma quickly followed her, bringing the fight to the floor. On the ground, Kelly displayed strength, but Emma was even more powerful. With a few swift maneuvers, Emma gained control and trapped her opponent in a chokehold. Kelly struggled to escape, yet the grip was expertly applied with just the right amount of pressure. Eventually, Kelly was forced to tap the mat, signaling her submission. The gym exploded with applause as the students from Lincoln High shouted and whistled, unable to believe their eyes that their fellow classmate had just defeated a professional fighter. Mike Rothner stepped toward the ring wearing a look of amazement. "Where did you train?" he asked Emma. "In Detroit, at Master Johnson's gym," she replied. Rothner, thinking it over, said, "I know Johnson. He is an excellent coach. Tell me, would you like to pursue this career seriously? You have all the qualities for a promising future." Emma glanced at her classmates, their faces glowing with excitement, then at her mother standing in the crowd with a beaming smile. "Thank you for the offer," she said, "but for now I just want to be a schoolgirl. There are more important things I need to focus on here." Following that exhibition match, Emma's fame spread far beyond the school walls. Local newspapers wrote about her, and a story aired on regional television. Yet for Emma, none of that was the most important thing. What truly mattered was that she had finally discovered her place in the world. No longer just the new girl trying to find her footing, she had found where she belonged. She had become someone others admired, a true leader. More than 50 individuals were now attending her self-defense sessions. The girls who joined her classes grew more self-assured, and even the boys started treating her with sincere respect. Even Bradley Thompson had transformed. He gave up his role as the school bully and began supporting the younger students. One day, he approached Emma after the lesson and said hesitantly, I wanted to thank you. Back then I was really out of control. If you had not set me straight, I might have become even worse." Emma smiled and replied, "Everyone makes mistakes, Bradley. But the important thing is to learn from them. I am learning too, and if you ever need help, you can rely on me." This moment marked a turning point not just for Bradley, but for the entire school community. The environment shifted significantly, bullying disappeared, and the mistreatment of new students halted. Instead of targeting weaker peers, students began assisting one another. However, the true challenge was yet to come. In early November, news reached the school that stunned everyone. Travis Miller, the same bully Emma had confronted at the bus stop, had been arrested for assaulting a schoolgirl from another district. This time, his actions went too far, and he was now facing the possibility of imprisonment. Nevertheless, Travis came from a powerful family. His father, a wealthy entrepreneur, hired top-tier attorneys and sought ways to dismiss the charges against his son. One strategy was to allege that Emma had provoked the incident at the bus stop in October. This accusation appeared just 3 months after the original confrontation. Following Travis's arrest, his legal team submitted a counterclaim asserting that it was Emma's assault on their client that triggered his further hostile behavior. They insisted she should be held responsible as an accessory. The case quickly attracted significant media attention, splitting local outlets into 2 sides. Some hailed Emma as a heroine, while others condemned her for alleged excessive harshness. "Can a 16-year-old girl truly pose such a threat?" questioned one newspaper. A TV channel pondered where the boundary lies between self-defense and assault. For several days, Emma was thrust into the spotlight, with reporters visiting her home. But soon public excitement waned. Emma's mother was concerned but remained strong. One evening, Sarah Harris suggested they might consider relocating to a new place to escape the turmoil, but Emma responded firmly, "I am not leaving. I did nothing wrong, and this trial will reveal the truth. The truth is on our side." The trial was set for 2 months later. Travis's lawyers attempted to depict Emma as an aggressive teenager struggling with mental health issues who misused her abilities to harm innocent people. However, they overlooked one critical element. Emma had witnesses prepared to testify. On the day of the trial, the courtroom was full to capacity. Students, teachers, and parents from Lincoln High attended to show their support. Jessica and her friends occupied the front row, visibly backing Emma. Travis's lawyer launched the proceedings with a heartfelt speech, portraying his underage client as a target of uncontrollable aggression. "Gentlemen of the jury," he began, This case revolves around how what began as a typical teenage interaction quickly turned into a violent assault. My client was merely attempting to meet girls in the same way that many boys his age do. However, the defendant's objection was quickly cut off by Emma's lawyer, who said, "Mr. Miller is not a defendant in this matter." The judge allowed the questioning to continue but cautioned to be mindful of language. Travis's lawyer sought to portray his client as an innocent victim, yet as witnesses took the stand, the truth gradually emerged more clearly. Jessica Martin was the first person to testify. When asked by the prosecutor to describe the events at the bus stop, Jessica, her voice trembling, began, "Travis Miller and his friends had been bothering us for weeks. They were making inappropriate remarks and trying to touch us. That day, Travis attempted to grab my face, but when I pulled away, his friends blocked me so I could not escape." The prosecutor then inquired what happened next. Jessica explained that Emma stepped in and told them to stop harassing them. Rather than backing down, they threatened her. One of Travis's friends tried to grab Emma from behind, but she defended herself. Although Travis's attorney attempted to undermine Jessica's testimony, she remained firm. Other witnesses then took the stand, other girls present that day, and several bystanders who had observed the incident. All testimonies pointed to the same conclusion. Emma had acted to protect herself and others. The most compelling moment occurred when Emma Harris addressed the court, with the prosecutor asking her to share her account of what transpired. Regarding her sports background, Emma stood tall, squared her shoulders, and began to share her story. She explained how she started practicing martial arts after experiencing bullying at school. She spoke about years of training, winning tournaments, and how the discipline taught her more than just fighting skills. It taught her to manage her anger. "My instructor always told me true strength shows not in causing harm, but in knowing when to stop," she said. "That day at the bus stop, I could have seriously injured those kids, but I used only the force necessary to protect myself and those girls." When asked what she felt in that moment, she answered it was a sense of responsibility for the girls the bullies targeted and for showing them that such behavior is unacceptable. Travis's lawyer launched a tough cross-examination, but Emma stayed composed, answering every question with honesty. She did not try to excuse or downplay the incident. When asked if she admitted to striking the client, she replied, "Yes, I did." And when questioned if it was a strong blow, she answered, "Strong enough to stop him." Asked if she thought she could have seriously harmed him, she explained that she had. Full control over the force delivered and that her coach taught her to adjust the impact depending on the circumstances. When asked why she did not just run away, Emma paused thoughtfully and said, "What were those girls supposed to do? Run away too? For how long? Someone had to stand up to your clients and I did." The courtroom erupted in applause, but the judge quickly restored order. The statements were merely a formality, as the prosecutor had thoroughly demonstrated that Emma had acted within the boundaries of self-defense law. The jury withdrew to consider the case for just 20 minutes. The verdict was unanimous, not guilty on every charge. When the judge announced the decision, the courtroom erupted into applause. Emma embraced her mother, who wept tears of relief and pride. "Thank you for believing in me," Emma said to her classmates who had remained by her side throughout the ordeal. "We always believed in you," Jessica responded. "You taught us the most important lesson: never be afraid to stand strong." After the trial, life gradually settled back to normal. The media's attention faded, and reporters no longer swarmed their home. However, the changes Emma initiated continued to have an impact. Self-defense courses became an official part of the school's curriculum. The administration dedicated a special room and acquired proper equipment. Professional trainers joined the sessions, but Emma stayed on as the head coach. She taught not only fighting techniques but also the mindset behind self-defense, such as how to identify threats, prevent confrontations, and aid others safely. She reminded her students, strength is not just physical ability. True strength is self-assurance, the courage to defend what is right, and the readiness to protect those who cannot defend themselves. Her message inspired not only students but also adults in the community. Courses started attracting not only students but also their parents, teachers, and local residents. Emma became a symbol proving that even an ordinary individual can influence the world around them. However, the most significant transformation happened within herself. Emma no longer felt the need to hide her true identity. She understood that embracing who she truly was formed the essential first step toward making the world a better place. One evening, while walking home from another training session, a stranger approached her. Emma instinctively braced herself, ready to defend. The man said, "Emma Harris?" She replied, "Yes, that is my name." He introduced himself as Dan White, mentioning he was the father of one of the girls she had helped protect from bullies. Emma relaxed upon hearing this. Dan continued, "How is your daughter doing?" He then answered his own question. "Excellent, and the reason is your classes." She is transformed into a confident and strong person who stands up for herself. The man paused before expressing, "I wanted to thank you, not just for shielding my daughter before, but for teaching her how to defend herself now. That is the greatest gift one can give a child." Emma answered, "I have nothing to be grateful for. I am only following what feels right." Dan smiled, saying, "That is precisely why the world improves, thanks to people like you." When Emma arrived home, her mother was already asleep. She quietly entered her room and settled by the window, gazing at the stars above. A year earlier, she had been a frightened girl who relocated to a new city hoping to go unnoticed. Today, she had become a leader, an instructor, and a protector, someone who dared to inspire change. Her journey was always meant to lead her here, yet the road she traveled was far from simple. She confronted biases, conquered fears, and endured a public scandal, but each challenge only fueled her resilience. Emma grasped one fundamental truth: you cannot escape your destiny. You might attempt to become someone else to fit the desires of others, but eventually, your genuine self will reveal itself. When that happens, embracing the consequences of your strength is essential. The following day at school, an unexpected event awaited her. Principal Mr. Anderson summoned her to his office, where members of the city council, the PTA, and local journalists had gathered. "Emma," the principal announced gravely, "the city council has decided to honor you with a plaque recognizing your bravery and service to the community. You are the youngest individual in our city's history to receive this distinction." Emma was speechless. She had never imagined her efforts would gain such recognition. Accepting the elegant pin from the mayor, she replied, "Thank you, but I wish to dedicate this award to everyone who stood by me. My students who found courage to transform, my classmates who supported me, and my teachers who guided me to grow into a better person." Her address was concise yet sincere. She emphasized that true strength does not stem from physical ability, but from the courage to defend justice, assist those in need, and embrace your authentic self. Every single one of us possesses the power to be a hero. She concluded that we only need to summon the bravery to take the initial step. Emma became the student council president during her final year. She used this role to finally eliminate the lingering school hierarchy based on power and fear. An honor court was established, a group handling disputes between students. Instead of imposing punishments, they focused on reconciliation and mutual understanding. The objective is not to penalize the wrongdoer. Emma explained the court's principles, but to help them realize why their actions were wrong and encourage change. The approach proved effective as the number of serious conflicts at school plummeted to nearly zero. After the ceremony, a reporter from the local newspaper approached her. "Emma, what are your plans moving forward?" "Several sports organizations are offering you professional contracts." "For now, I want to complete school," Emma responded, "and afterwards perhaps I will become a coach. I want to help other children discover their strength like my coach once helped me." She expressed regret for not embracing her abilities from the start. Emma reflected, "You know, for a long time I tried to be someone else. I thought that would be simpler, but it was quite the opposite. Hiding your true self deceives not only others, but also yourself, and sooner or later, this causes problems." "So, you believe honesty with oneself is essential?" "Precisely. Everyone is born with unique talents, skills, and a purpose. Our responsibility is not to conceal them, but to use them for the greater good. Of course, this demands responsibility, yet without responsibility, there is no genuine strength. The interview appeared on the front page and quickly circulated across the internet. Emma turned into a symbol for countless teenagers who were scared to reveal their true talents. Letters began arriving from all across the nation. Children shared their struggles, sought guidance, and expressed how her example inspired them to find the courage to change. One letter particularly moved Emma. It was from a 14-year-old girl in Texas. "Dear Emma, my name is Maria, and I want to share my story. I was always overweight and awkward at school. I was constantly ridiculed, and I would just cry and run away. After I read about you, I decided to enroll in karate. At first, it was really challenging, but I didn't quit. Last week, a miracle happened. When the boys from high school teased me again, I did not cry this time. I looked them in the eyes and said, 'Leave me alone.' And guess what? They did leave me alone. Thank you for showing me that anyone can be strong. Your grateful fan, Maria." Reading letters like this made Emma realize she had discovered her true mission. She wanted to help children find their hidden strength and teach them not to fear being themselves. Another 6 months passed. Emma was now a senior in high school, preparing to start college. She decided to study psychology with an additional focus on sports medicine, aiming to become a sports psychologist and support young athletes. Yet fate had other plans. One evening, Emily faced an unexpected challenge while heading home after training. A stranger approached her, and she instantly felt a sense of danger. The man was clearly intoxicated and hostile. "Are you the one who disfigured my son?" he demanded. Although taken aback, Emily quickly recognized him as the father of Travis Miller, the same bully now confined in a juvenile detention center. "Mr. Miller," Emily said cautiously while stepping back toward the illuminated section of the street. "Your son brought this upon himself." "My son was a good boy until he crossed paths with you," the man retorted, taking a menacing step forward with clenched fists. Emily carefully evaluated the situation. The man was a large figure, nearly 6 feet tall, and weighing over 220 pounds. But his movements were hindered by alcohol. "Calm down," she instructed with resolve. "Leave now before I call the police." He scoffed. "The police? First I will show you what it means to be weak." Suddenly he lunged, attempting to grab her shoulders. Ready to defend herself, Emily evaded his awkward grasp and delivered a quick punch to his solar plexus. The alcohol had severely dulled his reflexes, leaving him gasping for breath and doubling over. He tried to attack again, but this time Emily responded with greater force. She landed a precise punch to his jaw, causing him to collapse unconscious onto the pavement. Without hesitation, Emily pulled out her phone and dialed for help. Police officers on patrol and an ambulance arrived a few minutes later. When they got there, Miller had not yet regained consciousness. The doctors diagnosed a mild concussion, but thankfully there were no severe injuries. Self-defense was confirmed once again when the detective, who was already familiar with Emma from a previous case, asked, "He attacked me on the street, so I defended myself. I believe there are witnesses." Emma glanced around. Fortunately, the incident took place near a shop where a security camera had recorded everything. The surveillance footage captured the entire event, so the case never even reached the courtroom. The video unambiguously showed who the aggressor was. Miller Sr. faced charges for assault and making threats, while Emma received official recognition that her actions were lawful self-defense. However, this event left Emma with much to contemplate. She realized that her image might attract not only supporters but also people who might want to challenge her or seek retribution for past defeats. "Mom," she said during dinner that evening, "I think we need to have a serious conversation." "About what, dear?" her mother asked. Emma explained her feelings and concerns about how her popularity could become a problem, not just for herself, but also for those around her. "Are you scared?" Sarah Harris inquired. "No, I'm not scared, but I worry about you, about my students, about my classmates. What if next time it is not just one intoxicated man? Who would come, if not an entire group?" Her mother remained quiet for a long moment, contemplating her daughter's words. "You know what, darling? I am proud of you. Not merely because you can defend yourself, but because you care about others, taking responsibility for their safety as well." "But what should I do?" Emma asked. "Do what you always have. Be yourself, stand up for those who need protection, and never let fear control your life." The following day, the entire school was buzzing about the event from the day before. News of Emma's self-defense against an assault quickly spread throughout the town. Students from various classes approached Emma, expressing their support. The local newspaper published a piece on school security issues, using Emma's experience as a case study. However, the most important outcome was that the incident did not defeat her. Instead, it strengthened her resolve to help other children. The self-defense initiative expanded to neighboring schools. Emma frequently traveled to conduct seminars, sharing her knowledge with fellow instructors and, most importantly, with the students themselves. The children transformed. They grew braver, more assured, and ready to defend themselves and others. The rate of bullying in schools dropped dramatically. "Do you realize what your biggest achievement is?" Jessica once asked. "What do you mean?" Emma inquired. "You have shown all of us that it is possible to be both strong and compassionate. True strength is not about overpowering the weak, but about safeguarding them," Jessica explained as Emma approached her senior year. The year Emma took on the role of president of the student council, she used this opportunity to finally eliminate the last traces of the school's violent and intimidating hierarchy. An honor court was established to deal with those who committed offenses, Emma explained, resulting in the number of serious conflicts at school dropping to nearly zero. It was graduation day. Emma stood on the stage in the auditorium wearing her cap and gown while holding her diploma. She had been the leading student in her class, excelling not only academically, but also in social activities. "Dear graduates," she began her address. 4 years ago, I entered this school as a frightened girl who wanted to stay invisible. I believed that if I remained quiet and unnoticed, I could avoid trouble. The audience listened carefully. But life has shown me differently. Problems find us whether we try to hide or not, and then we face a choice: give up or fight. Emma paused and looked around at the familiar faces in the room. "I chose to fight, not because I enjoy fighting, but because there were people around me who needed protection. And you know what? It didn't just change their lives, it changed mine." Applause broke out, but she kept going. "Today we are all heading down different roads, some to college, some to work, some to the army. But remember the most important thing. No matter where you end up, stay true to yourself. Don't hide your talents. Don't be afraid to be strong. The world needs people willing to stand up for truth and justice." She lifted her. A diploma held triumphantly overhead, and one more thought came to mind. If you ever witness someone being bullied, do not just walk by. Reach out and become the change you wish to witness in the world. The crowd erupted in cheers. Not only did her classmates rise to give her a standing ovation, but her teachers and parents did as well. After the event, Bradley Thompson approached Emma. Once the school bully, he was now headed to college to pursue social work. "Emma," he said, "I wanted to thank you again for not breaking my nose that day." He laughed, "even though I probably deserved it. But more importantly, for showing me a different path. Without that lesson, I might have turned into a completely different person." "We all make mistakes, Bradley," Emma replied. "The key is learning from them. You know what? Maybe everything happens for a reason. Perhaps you appeared at our school just when we truly needed you." Emma pondered his words. Maybe he was right. Perhaps her transfer to Lincoln High was no coincidence. That evening, Emma sat in her room unpacking. The next day, she would leave for Chicago for college. A new life, fresh challenges, endless opportunities. Yet she was no longer afraid of transformation. 4 years at Lincoln High had taught her the most vital lesson. It does not matter where you are or what obstacles you face. What matters is who you are, inside. Her mother peeked into the room. "How are you, honey? Thinking about the future?" "What do you see?" Emma smiled. "Lots of work, many children who need support, and countless chances to make a difference. Make the world a better place. I am proud of you, and proud that you are my mother. Thank you for always being there for me." They hugged, and in that embrace was all the love and gratitude that words could never express. The next morning, half the town gathered to bid farewell to Emma, her students, classmates, teachers, and just ordinary. Residents of Maplewood, whose lives she touched, assembled at the railway station. "Please do not forget us," Jessica pleaded through tears. "How could I ever forget?" Emma replied, "You will all stay within my heart forever." As the train began to move, Emma gazed out the window at the city disappearing into the distance which had become her true home. It was here she discovered herself and found her purpose. But a new adventure was waiting, and Emma was prepared for it. At university, she pursued psychology, focusing on adolescent development. While studying, she also coached the university martial arts team and offered self-defense classes specifically for female students. The tale of the girl who transformed the entire school became legendary. Books were written about her, documentaries produced. Yet for Emma, this marked only the beginning. After completing her studies, she spent several years working as a psychologist in youth centers, gaining valuable experience. Only at the age of 26 did she establish her own center dedicated to nurturing young leaders. She began modestly with a small office and around a dozen students, but over time the center expanded, attracting teenagers from many places. People from nearby towns started to visit, especially those who experienced bullying at school and felt powerless to defend themselves. They longed to transform their surroundings. Remember that Emma encouraged her students by saying, "Each one of you has a unique purpose waiting to be fulfilled. Do not allow anyone to make you doubt that. Embrace who you are, stand up for fairness, and never lose hope." Over time, her center gained a reputation as one of the most renowned in the area. Some alumni returned to their own communities and established similar initiatives. Gradually, a strong network of passionate individuals emerged. Within a short period, Emma became widely respected as an authority on tackling bullying within schools across the state. She was invited to speak at various forums, advise educational districts, and help shape new learning programs. Despite her expanding influence, she always remained grounded and connected to her origins. Each year, on the day her old students graduated, she visited Maplewood, reunited with longtime friends, and conducted workshops to inspire new students. "You want to hear something incredible?" said Emma when she was 30 years old during an interview with a regional newspaper. "I once thought moving to a small town meant the end of my journey, but it turned out to be a fresh start. It was there that I discovered who I truly wanted to become." As years passed, Emma evolved into more than just a successful psychologist and mentor in her community. She grew into a beacon for countless young people, proving that anyone can transform their own destiny and impact others positively if they courageously embrace their true selves. In the cozy town of Maplewood, at Lincoln High School, her legacy continues to inspire. At the gym, there was a picture of a slender girl with determined eyes. Beneath the photo, a sign read, "Emma Harris Class of 2001. She taught us that true power lies in the readiness to defend others. Each new group of students who saw this photo learned the tale of how one girl transformed the entire world and grasped the essential truth. Anyone can become a hero. You only need to summon the bravery to take the initial step." The story concluded as it should have, not with extravagant celebrations, but with the quiet assurance that the world grew a little better, because of one person who found the strength to shine rather than to hide.